Hello and welcome to this week's video about writing prompts, and today we are looking at the footballer Lionel Messi. Now you might not know about me that I do quite like a bit of football. Cricket's my favourite sport probably, but I'm a Watford supporter, so I know a little bit about football and quite looking forward to getting onto a biography of the magnificent Messi. So before we get on to him, let's have a little reminder about what a biography is. So I'm going to ask you just to pause the video here for a moment and just see if you can think of a few things that you know about a biography. Any features you can think of, pause the video here and I will see you in a minute. Okay, so what have you got? Hopefully you remembered it's an account of somebody's life, as opposed to an autobiography is when you're writing about yourself. So if you're writing about somebody else, you're going to be talking about he, or saying Lionel Messi, so it'll be in the third person in this instance. Obviously, if you're writing about a female footballer, Alex Scott, for example, you'd be writing she. But for this one, we're going to be doing Messi. You would usually have at the beginning of a biography a little bit to introduce the main things about that person, why they are considered special and what you're going to be covering on. Hopefully you've got things that, so you should be doing things in chronological order, so in time order in a biography. And you would be expecting to pick out particular events in that person's life that you want to highlight in chronological order. And you may very well have quotes from other people. You may very well say when the things happen, so specify the dates. And if you're talking about time, your work might have those time connectives in it, things like next and after that, and while that was happening, such and such, as those sorts of things, maybe at the beginning of paragraphs. Now I'm sure there are whole books about Messi. We are going to be writing, I'm going to suggest between a page and 2 pages of a biography, so you're going to have to think carefully about which bits of Messi's life you want to include, and I would suggest you try and pick the bits that are going to be more interesting. So you don't necessarily say he was born in Argentina in 1987, although that is a classic way. Try and pick some things which are a bit more exciting. Okay, back to the features. So we've got our introduction, we've got our time chronological order, paragraphs explaining some of the key events in his life, and quotes either from him or from people who knew or know him, and then you want to have a summary at the bottom, perhaps suggesting why he's going to be particularly well remembered, or pointers as to what you think he might go on and do next in his life. Okay, so those are the features. The next thing we need to have a collect about is what facts we already know about Lionel Messi, and then maybe go away and do, not maybe, I'm sure we need to go and do some research to find out some extra information, which can probably be best done via a bit of a Google. Okay, so have a little think first off, what do you know already about Messi? So if I'm thinking for myself, so I know he's Argentinian, I know he plays for Barcelona, I know he's a forward, I know he's won the Ballon d'Or, which is the kind of award for being the best footballer in Europe, I think, or maybe world, several times, and that he and people argue about whether he and or Cristiano Ronaldo are the greatest sort of playing player in the world at the moment. So that might be an interesting thing to follow. How about you? What else do you know about him? I expect you know more than I do. So what, has he played for any other clubs apart from Barcelona? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he hasn't played for Premier League. Do you know anything about his home life? Do you know anything about how many goals he's scored? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's captain of both Barcelona and Argentina. But what else do you know about him? Okay, so you need, I think, to write some of those things down. So if I was you, I'd do a bit of a spider diagram, or do some bullet points about what you know. Go away and do a bit of research. So pause the video now, go away and do some research, write down what you know already, and then I will do the same, and I will show you the information that I've got, and then we'll try and put it together into a biography. See you in a bit. How have you got on? Well, that must be the longest Wikipedia entry ever. I hope you've looked at something other than Wikipedia as well. I've had a look at the Barcelona website and a couple of biography websites as well. If you haven't, then just go back and have another little look. Otherwise, stay there and I'll show you what I've got and we can do it comparing notes. Okay, so these are my notes on Messi. You can see I started in the middle with his full name according to Wikipedia. I'm not sure I believe it entirely because there are some other things elsewhere. You always have to be careful with your sources when you're doing some research. But I've pulled in a few bits of information which I might or might not use in my final biography. So I've got the bits about him when he was born and him being part of a youth team called Newell Old Boys in Rosario where he lived, which was called the Machine of 87 because they were so amazing. So he was born in 87. The team was called the Machine of 87 because they were pretty well unbeaten. So that I think that's quite an interesting thing. There's lots of stuff about his awards. Did you get a bit bored with all the stats as well as I was going through? I mean, I quite like a stat, but there was a bit too many in there, and I think I need to avoid putting in too many things that people are just going to switch off with when I do my biography. But the Ballon d'Or, which I've checked now, is for a worldwide award. He's got 6 times compared to Ronaldo's 5. We've also always loads of records all over the place. He's had the most goals in La Liga, 440, 36 hat-tricks. That's a pretty amazing stat. And in Barcelona, that he's won 34 trophies with them, was the captain in 2018. He does come from Argentina, and although he's lived most of his life in Spain now, he still considers Argentina to be his country. So he says, Argentina is my family. Sorry, Argentina is my country, my family, my way of expressing myself. So obviously feels very strongly there. I found quite a lot about him as a person. So he is very quiet and reserved, generally speaking, not as flamboyant as Ronaldo. He got really homesick when he first moved to Spain, especially after his mum moved back to Argentina. In fact, he was so shy that some of the people in Spain didn't think he could speak because he just was so shy. He also was very close with his family in Argentina before he moved. So he used to get taken to matches and things by his gran, and he was very upset when she died when he was about 11. And his goal celebrations that he does, so when he points up to the sky, that's in recognition of her. So he's obviously a very sensitive, quiet sort of person. That's a feature of his life and his style. Lots of information about his style of play. In terms of his agility, how although he's small, he's only 1.70 m, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So he's called the La Pulga Atomica, the atomic flea. So he has a really good centre of balance. He's really quick. He's got a fantastic eye for he can run on either wing and can see opportunities that other people don't see. In particular, where have I got? Yeah, so this is a really nice quote I like from Pep Guardiola, who's now manager of Man City, who used to manage Messi. So Messi is the only player who runs faster with the ball than he does without it. I think that's a fantastic quote. That's going to go in, I reckon. Okay, so there's quite a lot about his footballing career. Oh, I'm going back to his early life as well. His early life. So he very nearly didn't get to be a professional footballer because he had a problem with growth hormone deficiency. So as I've mentioned already, he's quite short, quite small, and that was a problem with some with some hormones inside him. But because of the medical system in Argentina, they couldn't afford for him to have the treatment that he needed. And that's very nearly paid to his career. That was one of the reasons why he moved to Spain in February 2001. And then they got the medical attention that he needed which obviously helped him. So that I thought was quite an interesting thing. And he also does quite a lot of charity work now. So he's an ambassador for UNICEF, and he's got his own foundation, particularly looking to support disadvantaged children around the world. Okay, so I'm just going to move on now then to I've picked out a couple of introductions which I've written out from the internet. See if you can work out which one is which. One of them is from the Barcelona website, and one of them is just from a relatively independent biography website. So, first one. Leo Messi is the best player in the world. Technically perfect, he brings together unselfishness, pace, composure and goals to make him number one. That's the first one. Second one. Lionel Messi is a soccer player with FC Barcelona and the Argentina national team. He has established records for goals scored and won individual awards en route to worldwide recognition as one of the best players in soccer. Which one's the one from Barcelona? Yep, it's the top one. So they're really giving you opinion. If you remember back to Year 6 history, we covered bias quite a lot. So it may well be that you could say that Leo Messi is the best player in the world, but that's really an opinion. It's not a fact. And they're obviously trying to big him up because he's their star player, and good luck to them. The second one is a little bit more independent, objective rather than subjective. I guess it's probably an American website because it's saying soccer rather than football. So again, I'll just do those just to highlight, be careful with your research. Make sure that you are sure that what you're saying is true.